live. Yeah, we going live. Hey, we going live. Yeah, we going live. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going. Yeah, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line, we going live. From the 50-yard line. Hey.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hello.
I am Jarrett, the football genius Burgess.
I am Stephanie Fitzpatrick, aka the Advantage Coach.
This is episode 92 of the Field to the Real podcast. Coming on up to 100. 2
months.
Actually, what we're going to have to celebrate as well, and even though we'll be in different places, we're going to have to celebrate this 2-year anniversary.
Absolutely.
Because that's huge, you know.
Absolutely.
Our 2-year anniversary will be probably the second week of January.
Yep.
And we'll have to celebrate that one virtually, but
yeah, we're gonna figure something out.
Yeah.
It won't be like when we do.
It won't be like 100.
Nah, but yeah,
we definitely got to celebrate that as well.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here with you. Let's do it.
Before we get started, I just want to say I want to dedicate this episode to Chantel Petty. Rest in peace. I didn't speak last night at your memorial. One, because, you know, all of your friends were speaking, and I thought that it was just awesome to see all of these young people really, really go so hard for their friend. And I didn't want to interrupt that with, you know, just, you know, saying something or interrupting them, because, you know, it was a lot of people who spoke about this young lady's character, and it was just awesome to see.
Yeah.
But Coach Petty, her father, you know, took a chance on me, and in some respects saved my life.
Wow.
And so when she was young, when I first got to Howard in 2003, she was maybe only about 13, maybe 12. And so I literally watched this young lady grow up from being a teenager to going to high school, and her and my little cousin, Crispy, played on the same high school basketball team together. And then seeing her right after I graduated, the very next year, enroll at Howard University and be a college student. And then some years later, see her graduate, and, you know, I just, you know, hearing the story of her passing just struck something in me, and I just want to, you know, I just wanted to honor her, you know what I'm saying, and dedicate this episode to her.
Absolutely.
So, long live Stone. That's what she's affectionately called by her friend, Stone. And they've been doing a hashtag for a long live Stone. So I just wanted to give you your flowers, young lady. Yeah. God rest your soul.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's jump into this Who's Really Right, because, you know, you won't get the eyeball sweating out here.
Okay. Hey, you know what? It's all right.
Yeah.
If the eyeball sweat gotta happen, it's gotta happen.
Yeah.
Like we ain't them people.
Yeah.
Like it's all good.
So it's funny, when I said this the other day, we didn't actually get to talk about it. Yes, no, we did get to talk about it. We didn't get to talk about it in depth. But right. I think even in sending it, I already knew what your position was going to be. So to keep you guys in suspense a little less longer, one of our Who's Really Rights for the day is, did the College Football Playoff Committee get it right with the 4 teams that they chose for the playoff? Now, as sometimes, Stephanie, ladies first, let us know what you think about this. Did they get it right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say it. No. The top 2, sure. Okay, I see it. But 3 and 4, really? Come on, y'all. So when we were having our production meeting, I told you how I feel. And let me just say this before I start. I love you, Hercules, but Ohio State is like the Patriots of college football to me. They just get the breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And so you gave me, in our production meeting, you gave me an amazing argument that I cannot argue with you on this. But I will still say, I feel like the fact that the other teams all played 11 games and you played 6 should have been a factor in whether you got into this playoffs or not, right?
Okay.
It just does not seem fair to the teams who played 9, 10, 11, 12 games that you get half the games, which means you pretty much eliminated half of the opportunity for your record to look different. And you get an opportunity to play in the playoffs. It just doesn't make sense to me. And as far as number 4 goes, listen, y'all just lost to Clemson. Not just lost, you got drugged by Clemson.
Got drugged. That's true.
I don't know why is Notre Dame in the playoffs versus, I'm going to just say it, Texas A&M, or I'm going to even go further. Why Cincinnati, who sits at 9-0?
It's true.
Not in the playoffs versus this team who just got drugged by the number 2 team on this. It just does not, whatever y'all logic is, and I know you, Jarrett, you think very much so from the standpoint of business when we talk about these things. So right. Your perspective on this is about business. Right. And it must be true, because otherwise you can't logically tell me why Notre Dame is in this. And even, let me go even further to say, and I know this is something you're going to touch on, and this is probably why it's true that they do need to modify this playoff structure, because there's a team sitting at 11-0, at number 12, Coastal Carolina. I understand strength of schedule. Okay, so here's my thing about strength of schedule, because you all you're not using some algorithm from a computer anymore.
Right. So
you cannot tell me that you are really basing this off of strength of schedule. The only thing you could, I think you called it the eyeball test, is what you called it. So you're telling me that a young man who was in college, who made it to this school, to Coastal Carolina, is not playing as hard or whatever it is, because strength of schedule is out of the window right now. Because y'all can't base it on strength of schedule. You're not a computer. So you eyeballing it, and you're gonna tell me that this team that has gone 11-0 doesn't deserve to be at least in the conversation about being in the playoffs. And like, to your point, and I know you're going to talk about it, if the structure was different, they absolutely had no reason not to, even if they got there and they got drugged, but it's fair to put them there, to let them be drugged if that is the case. If you're just basing this on nothing more than your feelings, because that's what has to be,
exactly
and this, then they need to be there. It's just wrong. So no, I do not feel like they got this right. I'm gonna be quiet now.
Okay. So, and you mentioned it, that when it comes to things like this, and I'm gonna address this part of it first. Before I get to the football part of it, I'm gonna address the business part of it first. This whole season was played because of business. For no other reason. It wasn't about the kids playing football. It was about the people at the top who make the money, getting the money. Now, looking at it from that standpoint, I understand why they chose the teams that they chose. Notre Dame could have their own network by themselves.
They do.
Well, I mean, NBC.
NBC They're the only team that play on NBC.
That's true. Yeah. and so, You look at and they're playing as a part of the ACC, which also has their own network.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're getting it coming and going, right? They're one of the teams who are going to have the most eyes on them because they have a very large fan base.
Right.
Ohio State, the same.
Yeah.
Alabama, the same. Clemson, I believe, is growing into that.
Yeah.
But and so in a few years, if they continue to win the way they're winning, they'll probably be there too. But these decisions were, I think, primarily based on business, secondarily football, but primarily based on business. But to go to the structure, the reason why I think they got it right from a football sense is Alabama has shown the entire year that they're the number one team in the country, right? Yeah. And you got to give them that. It's funny that you said that Ohio State is like the Patriots of college football. Alabama, to me, they're the Patriots of college football. Yeah. And
maybe
it's funny
on
too,
the field.
Because we actually talked about this before.
Maybe on the field. On the field.
Yeah. And
on the field.
But we talked about the similarities between Nick Saban and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
You know, and so when I think about them, I know that you're saying it from the standpoint of how you feel about them.
Yeah.
And it's probably, for me, the same thing with Alabama, how I feel about it. It's just like, Lord, again? Can somebody else like get an opportunity for a championship?
I guess my thing is, but they dominate everybody they play, so I feel like it's fair.
Well, not necessarily. This year, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm just talking about this year. Yeah.
In years past, we've seen them lose. Now, the committee was fair to them the year that they didn't get in the championship, which is what I'm going to argue against for Texas A&M. The year that they didn't make it to the championship, College Football Playoff Committee did not vote them into the top four, which I felt was totally fair. Mm-hmm. Which is the reason why I think that it's totally fair that Texas A&M didn't get voted in, right? The only legit case I think that you could have made, and we talked about this in terms of fairness, is that when Washington wasn't able to play in the Pac-12 championship and they had to call Oregon to come in because they were the next team up, if USC had beat Oregon, I felt like they would have been deserving of that number 4 seed.
Okay.
They won for winning their conference championship.
Their conference, right?
Right. A&M eliminated themselves by not being the team to win their division, so they didn't even get into the championship. Mm-hmm. Now, where we agree is that I don't feel it's fair for a 9-0 Cincinnati team and an 11-0 Coastal Carolina team to just be totally left out of the conversation with the excuse that, well, they don't have the strength of schedule. We've seen enough evidence to say that some of these small schools deserve an opportunity. When Boise State beat Oklahoma, right? I believe that was in 05 or 06. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. Don't quote me, guys. But it was one of those years. Boise State knocked off Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Nobody gave Oklahoma a chance. Nobody gave Boise State a chance.
Boise State a chance, yeah.
But for them to have these type seasons, we have to find a way to reward that.
I'm just saying.
Coastal Carolina is going to play against Liberty. And no disrespect to Liberty, right? Because Liberty Liberty had a good season as well. But to play at the level that they played, they knocked off BYU. They beat Kansas. You know what I'm saying? For them to play at that level all year and not be rewarded with at least the opportunity to play for a championship is criminal.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. Yeah.
But to get back to the original point, I think that the College Football Playoff Committee got it right from the standpoint of the criteria that they were using.
About money.
Well, definitely money.
That's the criteria they use.
But for football, right? Because they do use the computers and the metrics to use strength of schedule. But my thing is, you're using that to exclude.
Yeah, not to include. That's it. Yeah. That's my problem.
And so Notre Dame did beat Clemson this year. Now we can say that Trevor Lawrence wasn't on the field and, it might have been different, but we only can go off of what we saw, the evidence that we received. And they did beat Clemson So they should get points for that. Ohio State, while it may be looked at as it's unfair, they didn't have any control over the fact that the Big Ten decided to start the season a month later than everybody else, and then went on to botch the whole idea of their championship, which they had to go back and tweak just for Ohio State to even get in the game, right? That's beyond their control. And so I don't think they should be penalized for that.
Okay.
What we saw, and even though we did not see it in the Big Ten championship game, what we saw is that they were one of the 4 best teams in the country. Specifically from an eye test standpoint, or solely from an eye test standpoint.
Just be quiet.
And I believe, I truly believe that Ohio State's probably going to beat Clemson. Now, I believe Notre Dame's going to get drugged by Alabama, but
if they got drugged by Clemson, guess what?
Who? Notre Dame. Yeah. Well, we can't always go off of that.
Oh, okay.
Because we've seen games where a team will, totally, lose it against one team, and then they'll come and play another team. Like, how you were able to beat them and couldn't beat them?
Right.
No,
I mean, it's parity in college football. For sure.
Right.
So no, I get that, but this don't sit well with me. That's all I can say. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm like, literally, I'm just like, well, now at this point, all I want to see is the Alabama Clemson championship, because I don't feel like neither one of these other teams
deserve it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I want my point, and even though I don't like Ohio State, I do like Justin Fields. I want my point proven with Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney just over the years has just been moving real funny to me, and some of his quotes and some of the things that he said and done, like
Donald Trump-esque.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like this last thing to me was just a smack in the face. Like, you're gonna vote Ohio State 11, right? And I get it. You're trying to say that they don't deserve to be there. So I get it, but you're just gonna give them bulletin board material because you feel away. And I think that's
right.
No, it certainly is right, and I feel like he should pay for it. I feel like Ohio State should make him pay for it.
That's what I'm saying. They might give it to him for just that reason.
And especially since they played it was a lackluster performance in the Big Ten championship game.
I was worried. Like, are they okay?
Yeah,
like this don't look right. Like Justin Fields looking, you okay, bro?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I do like Justin Fields. He played at Georgia first, so you know what I'm saying. I do like Justin Fields. It's just, I don't know. I just we'll see what happens.
Ohio State's one of those evil empire college football.
Yeah, like I just feel that way. Like, real talk. Like, I'm like, y'all just get some extra stuff. Like, I don't know. Maybe I put them in the New Orleans category instead of But see, I'm gonna put. I don't know. Like, it's the Saints and the Patriots for me, and it just always seemed like stuff just happens for them. Like, even though I know they lost that horrible call, but in the playoff, but for the most part, they seem to get a little extra juju from things, and so I feel like So anyway,
it definitely looked that way the year they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That was a straight setup. I don't care what nobody's ever, and I know your boy probably listened. Sorry, Dirk, but that was a straight setup.
Yeah.
That was a straight setup. So sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. Good. Y'all let us know who's really right on this one before we jump to our next one.
Yeah.
Do you think that the College Football Playoff Committee got it right? Stephanie says no. Jarrett says yes. All right, let's jump to this Kawhi Leonard declining his 2021 player option. Do we think that it's a Do we think it's so big deal was the wrong choice of words on my end. What does it tell
motive.
you? What is the motive behind it?
Yeah. So we talked about this obviously in production. Y'all don't understand. So it's like we literally be having like full-fledged these who's really right are real, y'all, because we be having full-fledged conversations like no, really, no, really, no, but you should look, like,
but you gotta look at it like this.
Look at it like this. Like, yeah. So for me, I look at it and it's telling to me, which is hard to do with this young man, because I told you in production, this is the poker face dude for me. Like, I can't, he scares me because I can't read anything about him. There's zero emotion. And he has very little, he gives out very little vibe about energy, anything about how he's feeling.
Right.
But I feel like him declining this is telling to me of his uncertainty of whether that's where he wants to be. Now, you're going to argue another point, which obviously is why this is our second who's really right. But I feel like it's telling about his motive is, let me stay, let me sit in this space right here just to see
how it goes. Yeah.
See how it goes. Because so I'm a very feeling person, right? And so I watch people, I watch their body language, I watch their just how they are. Like, I remember, this is off topic, but I remember my ex-husband was an AAU basketball coach, and he had he always had kids who he coached them up. Let me just say that. Because they always went to nationals every year. Like, they always got there. But it was one particular young man, and his dad wanted him to play basketball so badly, right? And I kept saying to my ex-husband, this kid is not into basketball. It's not about basketball. And my ex-husband would be like, no, but he was good, right? So that was the problem. He was good at basketball, but I could feel his energy, and he just wasn't into basketball. So I kept saying he's not. So this was probably about his 10th grade year. So by the time he made it, finally by 11th grade, he finally had enough nerve to say he didn't want to play basketball. He wanted to play soccer.
That's good.
But I say that to say, not that Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to play basketball. I just get a sense that he's not exactly all the way comfortable in LA. That's all.
In LA?
Not the city. I mean, with the team. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not the city. I think it's the team.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not all the way comfortable with the way that things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, I'm gonna just get us another shot since we got, we got a new coach. I'm gonna just get us a shot and see what's happening.
Well, I mean, I can kind of see that, right? Because LA brought way more of a spotlight than San Antonio or Toronto ever did. And so it may be in him like, okay, this is too much of a spotlight. I just want to play basketball. I don't want to.
And that's the dude he is. I feel like that's him. He like that dude. Like I'll just don't put it on me to be being some. You got LeBron on the other side over here. So who are they comparing you to? Y'all both in the same major city, right?
Right.
And they looking at you to be, and you ain't. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
Just not.
And it had to be embarrassing with him doing the whole like campaign with New Balance and I'm the king of LA now thing. Had to be embarrassing because you do that and then you guys go into the bubble and lose a 3-1 deficit to the Denver Nuggets. But one of the things I about this who's really right is that he's been trying to get to LA because he's from LA or from at least around LA. He's been trying to get there since he was in San Antonio. And we know he went to San Diego State. He actually lives in San Diego now, which is kind of crazy if you really wanted to be in LA. what made you choose San Diego?
LA,
But I guess he just,
yeah.
San Diego's a beautiful city.
Helling again.
Yeah.
But okay.
I'm probably sure if he could get the
If
franchise
there was a
to
San
move to San
Diego,
Diego,
right?
he probably would move
Yeah.
to San Diego. But
Right.
he's been trying to get to LA. I know initially he wanted to go to the Lakers. Probably grew up a Lakers fan. But we won't get into this story. There was a whole thing about him actually getting to the Clippers. But because I believe that he wants to be there, according to himself, in accordance to what he said over his career, and the fact that if he had taken this player option, it would have put him a year back at signing the max extension, which would have been less money. I feel like this decision was purely financial. I think that he understood that, renegotiating, losing the player option and then renegotiating this next off season for the max extension would be more beneficial to him financially. And so I think that's the only reason why he's not, or the only reason why he did decline the 2021 player option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. So this might be the men are from Mars and women are from Venus type thing.
Yeah.
Real analytical and real on that side of things, and I'm real about Philly touchy right now. So I don't know. That might be where we are with this one because I just Philly touchy. I feel like I don't know.
I think I don't think that he prefers to move around like that. I think that he wants to be settled. And so to me, that's the Philly part of it. Like that part of it is I want to be in LA or San Diego. And that's the closest team. I want to have my roots there. And so you got your roots there. I don't think you want to pick up and leave just for basketball reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, because the reality is he could have stayed in Toronto.
Correct. But he wanted to be in LA. So
right.
I'm not saying that he didn't go there with the intent to stay there, but it might not be looking like what he thought. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it might not be the warm fuzzies he thought he'd get from being there.
I'm sure that
might not be what he's getting. And so you might just be like, let me just see what I can,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he thought that he was just going to get that trade for Paul George and they were just going to ride off into the sunset to a title.
Okay. Oops.
But I don't think that he just run away from that. Like, I think he would want to figure it out. And not just in 2 years, you know what I'm saying? And so I think in concert, it all works together. That piece of it and also the financial piece of it,
Okay.
Because no franchise is gonna maybe Houston. We'll see what they're doing with James Harden. We'll talk about them later. But no other franchise is gonna, placate to all of the demands that he made when he got to the Clippers.
Well, you have to put the little diva stuff down and just go play basketball.
Go play basketball, right? So y'all let us know who's really right. Yeah. Stephanie sees this as maybe an opportunity for him to get to another franchise. I think that he is putting down his roots and he's making sure that financially he makes the best decision. So let us know who you think is really right.
All right.
Now put the cameras on me, 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 put the cameras on me.